I'm back in Bali, and you probably didn't know I was even gone from Bali, but I actually just nicked across to Perth for a couple of days because I had a friend having a wedding, so I went over there for a couple of days and I'm back. I can sort of, from Bali, I find that I can just nick across to different places really easily without it being a big deal, whereas when I was living in Australia, everything felt so far, and maybe that's because I was living in Sydney and it is quite far to any other place, but I don't know, now that I'm in Bali, I just feel like I can nick across to places like Perth pretty easily. And I'm once again at a place called Serious Coffee Roasters. I keep coming back here. I'm not getting paid to come here like someone in the comments said the other day. But I'm just gonna have a bite to eat, try some other stuff on the menu, and then have a bit of a walk around Sanur, see what's going on today. The weather is just looking beautiful. So let's get stuck in. Got my standard cappuccino. Susan got an iced chocolate with oat milk. I'm gonna try it because it looks good. The thing about this place is that it's the quality that I really sort of love. Oh, I've got some more stuff coming, scones. Those scones, like, they're good. And it's like a dark chocolate iced drink. It's just very nice. It's not like Nesquik or whatever they call it these days. It's called Nesquik now, isn't it? It used to just be called Quick. It's not like that. Well, Milo, it's heaps nicer. And then that coffee is obviously a good one, and then that scone is going to be a good one as well. And I learnt something last time I had a scone here, because on the video when I filmed it, I said, oh look, you don't even need a knife to cut it. And then someone said, well, you shouldn't, because scones should be break apart. So there you go. Hopefully you learned something too about scones, and that will just break apart real easy. All right, let's get stuck into this. Let's see if we can break it apart. Look at that nice little seam. Oh, look at that, that's true. Well, it's just such a cool thing, eh? And this, I don't know if that's cream or whipped ricotta, but whatever it is, goes on last. That was the general consensus in the previous video I did. The thing about the food here, it is quite modern, but it's not modern like showy modern. Like the Changul style is quite often to do with getting good photographs, just looks good, and there's not really as much of a focus on quality. And the cafe here does have heaps. Oh, there's Dr. Junior. She's got her hat on, a sailor's hat on again. Yeah, as I was saying, the quality is the focus here. Now that there is a French toast, and it's really just one of the best French toasts I've ever had. They've presented it well as well, but it's not there to be a glamour Instagram shot. It's there for quality, and it's just full of it. I'm gonna check it out. It's the second time I've had this. It's been a while since I had it last time, so. All right, so that bacon's interesting as well. It's more like Australian/British style bacon rather than American bacon. So it's not too crispy, which is what I prefer. Maple syrup, a bit of salt on top as well, interestingly, and bacon. Like, this is worse than gorengan in terms of how bad it is for you, I reckon. Processed meats, sugar syrup. I love it. Because it's quite quiet here in Bali at the moment, tourist numbers are down quite a lot, and a lot of business is sort of struggling a little bit. It's surprising to see a place like Serious Coffee Roasters doing so well, mainly because the customers are local customers. I don't know if they're domestic tourists, but it feels that they're more like local Bali people that come from Denpasar and, you know, love that place, which is interesting, isn't it? That you can set up a business in a tourist location like Sanur and still be relying on local visitors. Not only that, that place is actually quite expensive. It's more expensive than most of those foreigner-focused cafes and so forth in Sanur. And that's a really good reminder that Indonesians can be rich as well, like really rich. And there's a huge middle class that's sort of come out of nowhere in Indonesia over the past 20, 25 years. It's really boomed since democracy sort of took hold and the economy sort of liberalised a little bit. The middle class here in Indonesia is massive, and if you look in some of the bigger cities like Jakarta or Bandung, Surabaya, Medan, that middle class is in the tens of millions now. And they've got money to travel, they've got money to spend on places like this, and it's sort of a really great success story of lifting these people out of the working class and into the middle class. In fact, when I first moved here to Indonesia, I used to travel a lot with Susan to different places in the world. And that was actually quite surprising for a lot of people that we were doing that, because most Indonesians weren't really traveling very much. Only very few people were doing it. But since then, the whole scene's changed, and Indonesians travel a lot now. They travel a lot. One of their favourite countries is Japan. They love Korea as well. And even some of those more aspirational places that you might want to go to, like Iceland, or go and walk the Camino de Santiago in Spain. A lot of Indonesians are doing that nowadays that they wouldn't have been able to do even just 10 years ago. So it's a real sort of success story here in Indonesia about the economy and how it's really grown and lifted so many people. In fact, the minimum salary now in Jakarta is 5.7 million rupiah, whereas in Bali, I think it's around about the 3.5 million mark, depending on which sort of part of Bali you're living in. Just walking down here to the bypass, and I'm going to cross over up here. And the reason I'm going to do that is to continue on the road Jalan Beknandang. That actually was the road that Series Coffee Roasters is on. But Beknandang continues over here. So if you see, it goes in there, and the other side of it's over there. So obviously, you know, prior to this bypass being built 30 odd years ago, that road would have just come straight down here through the rice fields or something like that, but now it's sort of split up. So the minimum salaries in Indonesia are generally set by the regencies or the kabupaten, and they'll set the minimum salary based on what they think is appropriate for the cost of living in their area. And so some areas are much higher than other areas, and that's why Jakarta is much higher than somewhere like Bandung. And even in Bandung itself, there are different rates because Bandung's split up into different regencies. Little bars like that, like Titty's bar, and there's a couple of other bars down here as well. They're not really family-friendly bars. Like, I don't know, you wouldn't come here with your kids, for example. They're not that sort of place, but they suit some people. And the interesting thing about minimum wage is that not everyone is entitled to it. Hey, I've got someone filming me here, charging down the street. What have we got here? No, thanks. No. That looks too tempting for me. No, hot woman. Thank you. Bali, gotta love Bali. I mean, it's just always been such a friendly place, hasn't it? I've lost my thought now. Blushing. Anyway, getting back to the story. So the minimum wage is does not have to be paid to everyone. So if you're a small business, you're not required to pay minimum wage. And that means that some small businesses, especially if like little food carts and stuff like that, those people aren't going to be getting paid minimum salary. They get paid under it because small businesses aren't burdened by the same rules that big businesses are. The same goes for the things like tax. So you'll see 10% tax added onto your bill for a lot of food businesses. And that's a tax which is imposed by the Regency as well, Kabupaten. It doesn't go to the central government, so all the taxes you pay here on a meal in Sanur goes to the Denpasar city government. And that means that some regencies are quite wealthy from those taxes and other ones are not so wealthy because they don't have so many tourists. But small businesses don't pay that either. Never seen that before. The Hive Doner Kebab. Looks like a fairly new place, that one. So I'm coming down up here, there's a tea intersection at the end, it's called Jalan Danau Poso. And if I go left, I head to the main southern roundabout in Sanur, and if I go right, if I go too far to the right, I go back to the bypass again. The other thing about that minimum wage is it's a good sort of guide to how much you should be paying staff that work at your house. So if you have a full-time helper that cleans your house and maybe does a bit of cooking or washing and stuff, that minimum wage gives you a sort of a guide to what sort of prices you should pay. Now, you're allowed to pay less than that, but you just might not get anyone working for you. So you'd have to decide what's appropriate, but that as a guide is sort of the price that's reasonable. But if you get someone coming over for only a couple of hours a day, well, the price is not sort of divided by 4 or whatever to give you an 8-hour day, because that person has then got to go and find casual work somewhere else. So, yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than that. Obviously, you pay more per hour when someone's not employed full time. That's Bineka Muda, really good coffee at that place. It's a little bit sort of an old school local place. It's got a bit of, it's like I've got an old fashioned feel to it, which I really like. Just on that issue of, you know, how much you pay staff that work for you and that sort of stuff, it is, I find, much more expensive here in Bali than I used to pay back in Bandung, like heaps more expensive. So there's probably less opportunity for work in somewhere like Bandung. So people sort of are willing to work for less than they are. Oh, that's another good place. Betty Bake, coffee, bakery, that sort of stuff, sandwiches. Yeah, people are just willing to work for less in a place like that, and they're just happy to get any money just to sort of supplement their income. Whereas here in Bali, because there are a lot more opportunities for people, especially because a lot of Balinese are educated in tourism as well. They might have gone to a tourism school or whatever. They command a higher price in the market, and obviously they'd much prefer to work for a hotel where they can maybe get some service charges, and they'll get paid at least the minimum wage, but usually more. So getting someone to work at your house is then a little bit more difficult. It's just the way the market works, isn't it? I mean, it makes sense. And to find out the latest prices or the latest salaries, that the minimum salaries that are being paid, all you got to do is Google UMK, which is what the term is now for minimum salary. You could even do UMR, which is the old terminology, and then the name of the kabupaten. So for example, we're in Denpasar. If you're in Kuta, you're in Badung. If you're in Ubud, you're in Gianyar. You can even just do Bali, and it'll probably list all the different kabupaten separately. One of the best places for local food is this place here. Warung Jawa Moro Seneng Bu Slamet. That's a really good one. Really good one. Pick your own food from the dishes, pretty fresh, and just the turnover is huge, so they're always cooking up new stuff, and it's just very tasty and very cheap. Actually, just thinking about the word Bu Slamet, that's the woman's name. It's actually, there's a word called selamat. It's one of the worst words that you learn first when you're learning Indonesian, which is selamat pagi, yeah? And I think we sometimes get it wrong, especially us Aussies, because our accent's a little bit more thick. We sometimes say selamat pagi or something like that, which doesn't really work. I mean, people understand it, but it's not right. So the way you do it, that first SE part of it, it's not se, it's sir. It's really important, sir. So, and then the last part is lamat, sir lamat. Yeah, say it faster, selamat. You almost don't even say the E, selamat. It's just there a little bit. If I don't say it all, it's selamat, but it's selamat. It's like, yeah, pretty close. But selamat is the correct way. And that T, you don't go t on the end of it, just go selamat, like that. That's actually a really good one to practice. I really recommend practicing that one because it's something that you can say in so many different contexts, that's selamat. And so just pronounce it, just practice pronouncing it right, and you'll just sound like 100% more authentic. Now, you might be wondering why I'm heading so far down Jalan Danau Poso, which is an end of town that most people don't really visit too much. But there is accommodation up this end of town as well, so some people do stay here. Like if you're staying at the Mercure, a lot of this stuff is quite accessible through some of these back streets. So it has a bit of value. There's a new cafe that's opened up down here that I wanted to check out. So I'm gonna get a coffee there and see what it's like. This is not the one I was thinking of. This is actually a rebranded, so that used to be called Dia Martina, I think, that place. And it's now called From Here. I'm not going there, I'm going to a different place. By the way, if you wanted to say from here in Indonesian, that would be Dari Sini, because Dari is from and Sini is here. Dari Sini, from here. So if you ask someone, Dari mana, and they say, Dari Sini, you know that they're from here. By the way, they're actually talking about redoing the footpath along here as well, just like they did on the main road. That'll be interesting to see that happen. Hopefully it goes a bit differently from how the main road went last time. Anyway, here's the place. It's called Machinery. Show you that there. Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Good, good, good. What do we got? Hot cappuccino, yeah?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Large or medium size?
Large one. Nice little outlook down here. A little bit of parking for the motorbikes at the moment anyway. And there's the interior. It's a small little cafe that does a little bit of food and some coffees here as well. I'm paying $55,400 for my cappuccino, large cappuccino, which I think's on the higher side, to be honest, for Sanur. It's definitely on the higher side. You don't often pay that much for a large cap, so I hope it's a good one. Yeah, getting back to the footpath story. So the footpath is all going to be renovated, apparently. And the big problem with the footpath being renovated last time on the main street was that they did it all in one go, both sides. They ripped up both sides of the road and did the whole lot at once. And it just took about 6 months. You know, if it takes 6 months along here and the lessons haven't been learned, that'd be a bit of a shame, I reckon. So hopefully they can do it a little bit more in a staged approach this time, especially because last time along the main road, for long periods of time, there was actually no one working in many parts of it, just completely empty. So it was a bit sort of a waste of time, really, ripping up a lot of that footpath so early. Okay, here's the coffee. It looks pretty good, eh? Let's give it a go. Now, I want to say that I like it, but I can't say it's a good one, because I always say it's a good one. So what am I going to say this time? I'm going to say, I don't know, it's nice. It is good. It's quite hot, but not overly hot. Like, it's really like bang on in temperature. I really like that coffee. So that's another one of those sort of top 5 type coffees here in Sanur. I've got a few of them now that are in the top 5, probably more than 5 that are in the top 5. But it's just so good. I think we're getting better and better coffee here in Sanur as time goes by. I mean, I still don't mind, you know, a dodgy coffee down at the Warung, but if you want a good coffee, that's, yeah, come here to the machinery. Okay, time to hit the Frog and Toad. See ya. Let's go down here. What I might do, I might cut down to the beach. So if I go down here a little bit further, there's a road called Jalan Pengamba, which goes down to Pantai Mertasari, which is the most southerly beach here in Sanur. So I'll go down there, see what's going on today, and see what the beach is looking like. We've had a bit of rubbish around recently, and I hope it's looking okay. A few people commented a few videos ago about where the video of mine just stopped really abruptly, and I didn't say Sampai Jumpa or anything like that. And for me, that was really shocking, because I actually proofread or go over my video before I upload it to make sure there's no errors, and occasionally I miss errors like spelling errors and stuff like that or whatever, but I generally get it pretty good because I do check it before I upload. And I was wondering, how is that possible that that's happened when I check it before it goes up? Well, hang on, I think this is Pengambak here. Here we go, I'm on Pengambak. So what happened was, so what I do when I put a video together, there's a video editor. So I put like all the different video clips. So this is just a series of video clips that I've recorded, and I put them all together in a line. I chop them all up so that like the start of a particular clip sort of doesn't have a big gap in front of it, or the end of the clip doesn't have a big gap, and all that sort of stuff. And I just chop it all up and put it in one big line. And then I put titles on there, and, you know, maps if I need to, or music. And then once I'm happy with what I've got, I'll then go and watch it again. So if it's a half an hour video, I've got to spend half an hour watching it again after I've been through it several times. So it's a pretty lengthy process, just editing. But that last watch through is really important to make sure I haven't got spelling errors, or that I've put titles in the right spot, or that I've chopped the video properly so that it flows right. So when you watch it, it looks okay. But the other day when I exported the video, so I put it all up there and I've reviewed it, and then you hit a button, it's called export. And what it does, it saves it as a file, which I can upload to the internet, upload it to YouTube. I hit the export button, and everything seemed okay. If there's like problems, it'll throw up an error. It'll say, oh, error, can't export, or something like that. Well, this one did everything properly. So then I uploaded the file, everything seemed fine. And then I hit publish, and it's only when everyone started saying, hey, the end of the video's chopped, that I really realized. And what worries me about that is that it did chop off really quite close to the end of the video anyway. If that had happened like 3 minutes in, that'd be really embarrassing. So I don't know how I'm going to overcome that, because having to watch it multiple times for me is just a huge, it just takes a huge amount of time. And that's one of the biggest things about making these videos, is that the amount of time that you have to put into making them is quite a lot. So I'm always trying to sort of figure out how I can reduce the amount of time doing these things. But if you want to put out a good product, I mean, it does take time, doesn't it? New villa going in here. This is actually a really classy road, this one. So we are sort of beach side of the bypass, and there's little alleyways left and right all around this area. This whole little area here is actually a pretty classy area, and a bit more expensive as well. A bit more expensive than many areas in Sanur, because it's just classy. That's the reason, you know. If you've got like unlimited money, you sort of would come down here and buy a really big property, or rent a really big property and have a big villa with a big yard in just a beautiful environment like this, really close to the beach. But that's going to be out of most people's reach, especially these days with property prices having gone through the roof. For rent, 2 bedrooms. There you go. You could rent that one. The other thing about these videos is that it's me doing all the work, the camera work, all the editing, uploading, all that sort of stuff is the stuff that I do. And because it's becoming, you know, it's a lot of work, and because I think I could split up the work a little bit, I'm going to try and get Susan to start doing some of that editing and stuff like that in the background. She already does a lot of, well, she helps me a lot anyway with different things, but with that really sort of time-consuming editing, I think she would be a great help, but she doesn't know how to do it. So I'm gonna have to teach her how to do that, get her a computer and go through it and show how I do things. And that is actually a really long process to teach someone how to do that. So that's one of the things I think I'm gonna be doing over the next few months, trying to sort of split up our workload a little bit more. I mean, the other alternative for me is just to sort of like not do so many videos. I could do that as well, just don't do so many videos, and then of course I'd handle it a little bit better in terms of time and that sort of stuff. But I actually enjoy it. I've actually got a lot of stuff still to say and a lot of stuff to show. And I think in Bali, it's just unlimited stuff you can show people. And of course, not everyone's going to love everything, but there's always something for everyone. Earlier in the video, I talked about how someone had commented. It was quite a nasty comment, actually. I've had to block that person from the channel. Someone actually commented that I don't know, I can't remember the exact word, but basically I'm selling my soul to business here in Sanur and taking money from people, and just so I can promote their business, which is not anything remotely close to true, because I don't get paid by any business here in Sanur, and I never have. No business here in Sanur has ever given me any money or even a free meal in exchange for a review, because I don't do that. That's not something I'm into. Yeah, I just thought that was a bit, maybe a bit of a misunderstanding about how YouTube really works. Like, I think some people out there, they really love it when they get a free meal or a free accommodation or something like that. And they'll do that in exchange for a review or something. But I mean, I've got no interest. Like, honestly, I've got no interest in getting something like a free feed and then go and do a video on someone. Like, I just don't do it. I only sort of go to places and review them if I like them. What I find interesting is that, like, a Chinese sort of aspect to it as well, like those Chinese lanterns and things, a lot of red and gold and stuff. I don't know what story is there. This whole area here, so over here, there's this, like, this is supposed to be some sort of like fish market or something like that. That got built over 2 years ago now, and it's been empty since, like at great expense. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. Then there's another building up here, built out of bamboo, which again hasn't really had any, like, they've got like new air conditioning units on there and everything. They seem to be getting overgrown. Over here, this big thing got built as well. Nothing really happened with that. I might actually go up here a little bit rather than going across to the beach over there. Let's see what I can find. It's starting to be kite flying season now as well. So up in the skies above Sanur, you'll quite often see or hear kites. I can see a few over there at the moment. There's probably about 5 or 6 of them I can see at the moment. When it gets into the real windy season, there's just heaps of them all around the place, especially on weekends. So that's Muntig Siokan across the little canal there that goes to where those the camels over there, and there's some other places to go and have a picnic over there. It's a bit of a weird place, to be honest. I don't know what the purpose of it is, but that's what that is anyway. Seems like the tide's going out at the moment as well, because the river is flowing out. Just over there, across the other side in Muntig Siokan, there is a big rubbish pile being burnt at the moment as well. Another one of those disgraceful rubbish piles that are starting to spring up a little bit more now that the rubbish situation here in Bali hasn't been sorted out. I absolutely hate it, because you don't need to do that. There are solutions. It's just a bit more of a pain than it used to be to get your rubbish collected, but you don't need to go and burn it. It seems that this is a place that a lot of people are coming for fishing and a bit of picnic and yeah. Looks like a really cool place for people to come on the weekend, actually. Something's being built here. This used to be the old jet ski rental area as well. Hello! And I don't know what's going on. They've reclaimed a bit of the land. Oh, there was a beach here before, but that beach is gone now. So, all right, that's great, great. So yeah, the beach is being reclaimed here. We don't have any beach anymore, we've just got sandbags. Okay, nice. I'll have a look along here, see what's going on. Beautiful day though, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? There's not that much in terms of rubbish in the water. It looks fairly clean, which is a little bit surprising because actually when I flew to Perth for those couple of days, when I was flying out of Bali, there was all these big patches of rubbish in the ocean, like huge patches, not just like a little bit, like huge patches of rubbish that obviously had been washed down into the ocean in the storm which happened, or a couple of storms that we had in the preceding couple of days. This is really interesting. So the ocean has been reclaimed. This whole area here actually used to be ocean. Like, it used to all go right over there to the road over there. So this all used to be ocean back in the day. And you can get onto something like Google Earth and look back into history and see what it used to look like. And it was just a completely different landscape back then. I don't know if I can get across there. It seems as though the water's crashing through into that new inland lake because the ocean is taking back its rightful place, it seems. Let's have a look anyway. Because the tide's going out, that lake is draining out into the ocean, and I'm not going to get across there unless I take my shoes off, which I'm not going to do. I might just walk straight around. It looks, yeah, it's a bit deep as well, like because all those sandbags are being washed away and it's sort of creating its own new channel. Don't think I'll be doing that. But gee, it just looks so nice at the moment out here. Just asked the worker back there, he's actually from Bandung, so a bit of a chat about Bandung with him, and he reckons they're building a cafe over here. The owner of the jet skis wants a little cafe over here. Well, that'll make this little area a little bit more vibrant, I guess. That's nice as well. Although on the weekends it already has a bit of a following, it seems. So, but during the week it's pretty quiet down here. Just want to show you a bit of rubbish here which is washed up on this lake. It's all the weed mixed in with rubbish, and when we look at most of the plastic in there, I would say, I don't know, 75, 80%, maybe more, is those, what they call aqua glass. It's a disposable water cup that's actually banned from being sold here in Bali. So I'll put up the little regulation on the screen there. They are banned to be sold here, but they still wash up. And it's because they are still being sold here, and no one cares. So, you know, regulations are put in place here in Bali and in Indonesia more generally, and they're pretty good regulations, but the enforcement's just not there. So you get this sort of thing continuing to happen, even though the regulation's in place to stop it, which is, it's frustrating, you know, really frustrating. Like, plastic bags aren't supposed to be sold in most places, but they are, or used. Got some big kites here. Look at this one. That's a big one. Testing that one out. Imagine trying to build that. That's huge. See the head on this one? Got a little offering in front of it. Beautiful, beautiful. Love those kites. So there is a kite festival down here most years at this beach, which gets pretty frantic. I mean, it's over the course of multiple weekends as well. So if you happen to be here when it's on, you have to come here. The other thing is that it's not always easy to know when it's happening. You sort of have to keep your ear to the ground and ask people on a constant basis, because these things often spring up without knowing. Although I know the kite festival sometimes is advertised a little bit, I will do my best to let you know if it's coming up, but I might not be able to. They'll be doing a bit of a practice run, I reckon. But those ones take a lot of people to run with the kite to get it airborne, and they'll often get into the ocean and that sort of stuff to get it high enough. Yeah, otherwise it just collapses straight back into the ground and they break and bust, and it's just chaos. But it's just amazing to be here when it's happening. The word for kite is actually quite interesting. I actually learnt it as layang, but locally they'll say layangan. I think they're both correct. I'm not sure if they have a slightly different meaning though. Layangan seems to be a more common casual form of speech. Maybe layang is probably a little bit too stiff. The thing is, the word layang on its own is a root word, and it means something like to drift over or glide or float over. It's got that sort of feel to it. And so you can have a word which is jalan layang, like a floating road, and that's just an overpass, you know, one of those elevated roads, jalan layang, you can call that. But also layang or layangan means kite. You see that sort of stuff happening all over the place here in Indonesia, where you have these root words which then expand into other words which mean completely different things but have some sort of relationship to one another. So I'm now at Pantai Mertasari, and it is looking very, very nice. Very nice indeed. Let's have a look at this. There's a lot of people in the water at the moment. It is high tide, just going out at the moment actually, so it's after high tide. But look at the colour of it. Isn't that nice? Like, you've barely seen anything as good anywhere. There's a bit of weed in there, but that's pretty normal. You know, a bit of weed here. But if you just go out a little bit, like where those people are, there's no weed, there's no rubbish. It's just beautiful. Look at it, doesn't that look good? Well, that's about it for me today here in Sanur, going for a bit of a walk through the back streets, having a couple of coffees. Thanks for coming along for the ride and thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Sanur and the rest of Indonesia. I'll catch you next time and sampai jumpa.